time.
Come on, grab your friends.
We'll talk about Gmod till the end.
Before I forget
Sack and Grinder.
Or lastly, Erdamon Gpod
time.
You can hear them. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Gpod 13.
Yeah, exactly. Wait a minute, I was supposed to do that. How dare you steal
Well,
my
screw
role?
you. Screw you. This is the evil show now. Hi.
Oh my god, Evil stole the show. Holy shit.
We're doing
He's
it
gonna-
live.
He's gonna make this ScoutCon now.
We're doing it live. Shut up. Hey, welcome to Gpod 13. I am
Okay.
Evil, not Ebel, like
Yes.
you said in the bloody outro. I'm joined.
Yeah, however, I am the host here, so let me. So, welcome everyone. As Evil said, this is Gpod number 13, and you are joined by me, Erdamon the Old Sniper, your local neighborhood furry fuck. Today with me are Evil, the ultimate Evil, the guy who made ScoutCon.
and only ScoutCon.
Yeah. Also, there's Grindor32.
I made the intro.
Yeah,
Approve
exactly.
me, please, now. Am I noticed?
Yeah, probably. There's also Sek.
Hi.
Yeah, and finally, Raph.
Hello, I'm just a guest among other guests.
Yeah, pretty much. We're all in this, and we're all gonna talk about random Gmod stuff. Though,
Lose our pride together.
yeah, exactly. Though I suppose not so random because we actually have a few topics prepared just for this occasion, and yeah, I suppose we'll start out with something a bit casual. Like, yeah, let's start with a very simple topic. What do you think of your recent works? How do you think that you've been faring over this year, the past few months? So, who would like to start?
I'll start because I have a very simple answer.
Okay.
This year has been very busy for me, a bit too busy to really focus on any animation stuff. I graduated university this year, so that took up a lot of time. But other than that, the only videos I really made were like I think the only video I properly made was Scout's Diagnosis. That was fun to do, but it wasn't much. I didn't have much time to really make stuff, so slow. Yeah.
Mm.
But that's been my life for the past few things.
Yeah, but you're getting there.
I'm getting there slowly, like a
Exactly.
snail.
Nice.
I mean, any pace is a good pace so long as you're not just standing around and just, kind of sitting in the frame.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
What frame? This is an audio show. You fool.
Oh no. Okay.
Oh,
anyway,
no.
Grindor, the floor is yours.
Well, when it comes to my recent works, I'm kind of proud on the improvement I've been making, like, from the bottom and now to here. But I think I'm trying too hard on making, like I get very carried away when I work on projects, like Major Malfunction, the one, like, really long animation I made.
I mean,
That was
that's
supposed to be... That was only supposed to be, like, 4 minutes long, and now it's, like, 11.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I really just need to get a bit more self-control when I work on animations. But besides that, I'd say it's pretty swell.
Well, it still turned out pretty great. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a good so long as, like, how do I put it? Oh wait.
so
Yeah,
long as it's
so long as it's good, it doesn't really matter how long it is.
honestly,
Just
yeah.
so long keeps.
It's a good
your
way to see the evolution of my animation because it started so long ago and like finished so later ago. It's, I guess, how to put it.
Oh,
Yeah.
like a long life cycle.
Yes,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like you,
it's like
you
an
see
evolution video.
Yeah, you see like the gradual like improvement as your animation gets better due to how much more stuff you've done in between.
And just how long it took.
Yeah.
Oh, exactly.
But yeah, that's that.
And Sack. Now it's up to you.
okay. So my channel is literally a desert. You guys have not seen anything animated from me this year except for my entry into TV Collab 2.
That's
Oh yeah, and we'll get to that also.
It's something, at least, right? But most of my progress has been lore. Yeah, guys, there's lore in my animations.
Oh, dang.
It's coming soon. There's keep yourself posted. Just there's something coming. It's just
Oh, dang.
in the works.
Storm's coming.
I've been a bit busy with college because this is actually my first year of college, so I'm still trying to get the hang of things in real life. So I haven't had much time to actually animate, but
This
I'm
is
still
actually the
planning,
problem.
always planning.
Real life is a bitch.
Yes, exactly. But then nothing can really stop us from constantly scheming and planning and all that stuff. I know that
Yeah.
way too well. Like,
It's life when you got a computer.
yeah, exactly. I think I personally spent a lot more time just writing up scripts and planning out various plot arcs than actually animating things.
I do a lot of improvising in my animation.
Gmod Infinity War when?
Yeah,
Perfectly.
that would be pretty interesting. Just get every single Gmod animator and make one giant movie. That would be pretty amazing if you ask
Or
me.
just like the
Yeah.
Avengers in general, where it's just a collaboration of all the animators.
Yeah. Now who's
Just
going to be
the college.
Thanos?
all of us.
That's a good question, but maybe not for now.
Yeah.
Wrath, and now
Yeah.
the question for you.
So the question was if I'm happy with my recent videos. Was that
Just
the case?
what do you think? Just a slight reflection on your recent works.
I am actually quite proud of what I did on my recent videos. I mean, I've been making videos for almost 8 years. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I've been doing videos for 8 years already. And I've been starting with pretty much all the Gmodders like Minifet, Dasposhit, and everyone. And back in the day, where it was a little bit simpler, you were just taking a model, putting thrusters on their arms, and there you go, you would have a Gmod video. But now, with the new batch of new animators, it has become a little bit more not
Competitive.
complicated, but elaborated and complex. So you kind of have to step up your game while doing some, like making more content, doing a way better animation and everything. And I'm trying to pretty much try to achieve these goals, but at the same time, like Zach just said, the problem is that real life is becoming more of a problem recently because you turn into an adult, you have adult responsibilities and everything. So I'm trying to pretty much try to make it work, even though it's
Oh yeah,
you go.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm done.
yeah,
Alright.
I
To
suppose.
go on with the topic. Sorry.
Well, I'm not sure if I should talk too much about my own experiences because that might seem like a little flex.
I mean,
But,
why not? You're the host of this thing. You might
Oh
as well
yeah,
talk.
sure, whatever.
You're a Gmodder as well.
Yeah, I am very much happy with what I did over the 2018. It's the first year when I've actually been constantly making Gmod videos. Like I did start in 2017, but it was like just one video, and it was right at the end of the year. But I believe I have made quite the progress. I have received a bit of tutoring from the veterans of various kind, like Camouflage and Seedmus have been helping me out a bit with my animations, and I think I applied that knowledge quite well, even though that might not seem that much. And also, I still have the tendency to cut a few corners, which is going to be very apparent in TV Collab 2, and I apologize in advance for when you're gonna see.
If I am greatly honest, like this sort of comes from me being a sort of a video editing background as well. From like that's what I did at university. Learning how to cut corners effectively and efficiently is probably one of the most important skills you can have. Like if you know how to be able to like what corners can you cut and how can you do those, it's actually a really useful skill to have. Like sometimes people barely notice it. Like the only time people will ever notice it is if you said, "Hey, yeah, I could have done that, but I did this instead." So
yeah, because that makes it so obvious.
yeah, exactly.
yeah.
But if you don't say it, people will think, "Oh, that's how he's meant to be."
Yeah,
Huh.
they could be like, that's part of the art style.
It's true.
Sometimes the biggest mistakes can make the greatest pieces of work.
Oh yeah, that's a very good point. And also, that's also why self-deprecation doesn't really work anymore. Like it was funny when it lasted, but now it's just like go away.
Well, I'd
I-
say
Go
it's
away.
it's
I-
like
I know.
alcohol. Do it in moderation.
Oh, well.
There is an interesting question in the chat. If I can,
No, wait. Oh, okay, go on ahead.
Okay, so Sao Studios asked, do you believe it's possible to mix 2D animation with Gmod? I've seen some fantastic examples of this.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
There's
Yes.
there's two people that come to mind so far, and I hope I'm getting it right with who
Viger.
I'm thinking of. Yeah, and that great cartoon pony do it fantastically.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've always been a cartoon
You
pony.
artiste.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
wait, sorry, I'm not sure if it counts, but Team Fabulous 2 with that animated guy in there.
Oh yeah, the weird Bubsy ripoff.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
I remember
but
that.
yeah, that was cool. I think it works, but you have to be very a specific kind of animation with it. Like you can't
Yeah.
just be like a really well animated like Flash cartoon character. It needs to have that strange sort of like zwir on it.
You gotta, yeah, it really depends on
wait.
what kind of animation you're making. You can't make a dead serious animation and just have a cartoon like this character like, oh hi, I'm a main character.
Wait, Abil,
I love-
Cammy's saying repeat what you just said.
Repeat,
yeah.
like about the 2D animation part.
I suppose. I
Yeah,
think you'll
I
like that.
think it was the beginning of the answer. Yeah.
Okay, I really like Pow Vigor and that great cartoon pony. I like how they incorporate 2D animation into their effects.
Yeah.
Again, it's a very specific kind of animation you need to use because you can't have like a like a Johnny Test ass looking guy.
Oh god.
Yeah.
No. Or worse, go animate.
Go animate.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
No, that's
Let's not go into there.
that's a little taboo topic right here. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a yikes
So-
from me.
Yeah. So that was a bit of a cutoff for now, but
Sorry,
we will no that's not a problem. But just to let you know, we'll answer more Twitch questions, but that will be for the later part of the show. For now, we'll focus on a little bit of a segue. We did mention TV Collab 2 a few times, and that's actually what we're going to talk about.
Delicious.
Yeah, actually, we're going to be talking about both collabs that have been kind of circulating around for past few weeks, months, stuff like that.
Nice.
Which are Television Collab 2 and Scout is Delicious Collab. And I believe, yeah, let's just start with mine first because hey, why not?
Yeah.
So,
It's smaller.
so- yeah, I suppose so. It's a bit
It's
small.
less messy to talk about as a topic.
Well, I suppose so.
Yeah.
So, do any of you have some interesting observations regarding TV Collab 2, or would you like to particularly ask me about some of the topics regarding this?
What
When
I
is
can
it being
say about
released?
the TV Collab 2 is that for once, the topic is actually simple to get. This is what usually misses into most of the collabs is that people tend to do overly complicated topics for the collabs. Like you need to do that, it's going to be this, it's going to be have that character, and so on and so on. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's a little bit too restrictive, in my opinion. And your collab is actually simple for people that actually wants to have some nice theme, but at the same time don't want to be too much restrained on the topic. So I think this is a good initiative that you took.
Yeah, that was basically the intention that I had with the collab. And Ebel, you were saying?
Yeah, I think the problem. I think why the reason you see all of these like really weird collabs, like soldier must fly off this particular direction of the screen. I think people want to try and stand out, so they have to sort of like this has never been done before. Look at mine.
Yeah.
But then they go
Uh-huh.
too far in that direction. So that's what. Yeah. So like Raph said, like that's what's good about this this one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much that was my intention, if I could call it like that. It
Yeah.
was kind of a love letter to the really old collabs, the Golden Sword and stuff like that, and the first cooking collab, basically. Just
You did
give
well.
a very simple topic and have people do whatever the hell they want with it.
Yeah, I like your approach to it. You just give them something, just one thing, and they go crazy with it. Yeah, it's good to have less constraints on your collabs rather than more constraints, as with some of the crazier ones or the more restrictive ones. Because if you're having a lot of constraints, you're kind of narrowing down the creativity that people can go with their entries. And if you're going to have so many, like what with Wrath said, I think, if you're like trying to make your thing, if you're trying to make your collab special or unique, or just trying to do something that nobody's ever done before. But you're also trying to put in all this specific stuff. You might as well just make your own video or collab with 1 or 2 people and just make it a private collaboration. Because if you have a lot of people trying to make entries for your collab that's like it has like many constraints, you're not going to get many varied entries.
Pretty much. Well, that's basically the thought process that I have. You did say that people, by being original, actually want to go for crazier and crazier solutions, which are actually more restrictive. My definition of breaking new grounds is just thinking outside of the box, which is also like referring to actually what I did when I was entering other collabs. Basically, what I did was just wait a few weeks, see what people come up with, and then think, how can I be as different as possible?
You know, that's a really good strategy.
Yeah, so for example, when there were like a Flying Demo Man collab, I thought of like, hey, how can I make it so that it doesn't have this boring intro where Demo Man just falls somewhere, and just had him fly around like it's a natural talent.
Why does it have to be the Demo Man, and why does it have to be flying?
Yeah, and it also...
Okay, so he has to blink 3 times in this entry. He has to make sure he eats McDonald's. He can't eat anything else. Not Burger King, not...
I've got to get that sponsorship money.
Yeah, exactly.
Otherwise, entire operation falls to pieces.
Yeah, and that also kind of snowballed into this further thought process where if I were to enter a collab, I would just break one of the major rules and be the punchline, kind of. Which was also the cooking collab thought process. Like, oh wait, in the rules it said the demo can't die. So what I did, I killed the fucker. I killed the guy and then just resurrected him at the last second so that it doesn't break integrity with other entries.
Just break every rule possible and somehow make it reverse itself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
My main question about collabs is like, what's it like running one? Like, is there like any stress about it? Is there any sort of weird like moderation you have to do with it? Like, what's it like? Because I remember back in the day when YouTube had responses, like that was how collaborations did their thing. But since they don't do that anymore, like how is it like trying to organize all of that bullshit?
Actually, regarding receiving the entries, it's not as bad as you may think because there's still comment sections and it's still really easy to pick up entries from there. And also, YouTube did introduce hashtags a while back, so I can see that being a very viable option for picking up collab entries. There's also the ability to DM people through like Discord or Steam. There's still Steam groups, so there's still a way to share your entries and have it very easily be picked up by the host. What's the bigger issue for me is that it is basically the decision between which entries get in. Because if your collab picks up a bigger traction than just your friends group, you will get entries from a lot of people that do not know you do not know them. You just see their entries for the first time, but still you don't want to be like total dick to them. But you also know that you will sometimes have to deny a few entries, and you basically run into this kind of dead end where you're sometimes not sure what to do with some entries that just kind of are just right in the middle. Like they're not really good enough to be called masterpiece, but they're also not bad enough to be just completely denied, and it's kind of back and forth for a little while.
That makes me think.
You first.
That makes me think of this one entry that was made like literally a few hours after the collab was announced. I'm sure Erdemon remembers it, but it's like, my name is Combine Super, and I sell speedboats. And it's
that was the example of an obviously bad entry.
It's just like,
and also. With the TV one, an interesting thing.
It was deleted.
Anyway, that was also another just completely unrelated, but it's also an interesting thing that I noticed about the TV collab too, was that there was a lot of first-time Gmodders, not just people that like started out recently and have made a few videos already. No, there were several people who did their first Gmod video ever for my collab.
Hey,
Oh,
maybe
that's
they were
not
inspired
good.
by you.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. Like,
That's cool, but like that sucks because it's like, you know,
yeah,
Yeah, it's
knowing
kinda
that your motivation, like your actions are their motivation to begin, yet that doesn't mean their quality is going to be acceptable. So that's
Unfortunately.
Also, most people do that because they want exposure right now, and for them, the best way to get exposure is to participate to a collab. But sometimes making Gmod video is not about exposure; it's about having fun, doing it for yourself. And
Yeah,
some
exactly.
people
that's true.
seems to
Yeah.
miss that aspect.
I
of
didn't
Gmod.
participate for exposure. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just doing this for fun, you know.
Yeah.
I don't care about the fame, all the glorious fame, and the people telling you you're cool.
Exactly.
First time in your life.
Yeah,
I mean-
I don't know what you guys are talking about.
I
Wait,
think
but-
collabs are really good when you're starting out because they give you ideas essentially.
They do.
Because
Yeah,
like
that was-
when you're starting off, you have Gmod, you have a bunch of ragdolls, you're throwing them against the gravel pit, and you're like, what do I do with these? And then there's some schmuck going, hey, make a music thing, and you go, okay, how do I
okay.
do that?
Copy that.
And then
Copy
you
that, Roger.
Yeah, and that's that's a pretty good thing because it propels further like snowball effect, you could say. Like basically, they start out by making those collab entries. They get the topic, and then once they get used to those tools that they have at hand in Gmod or SFM or anything, they can then use that and the experience they had already with some basic storytelling. They can try and transform it into their own creations and do something with it on their own.
Yeah.
Basically, collabs are like training wheels.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it. It's like sort of like getting together. Like it's sort of like one of those business training thingamajiggies, where they teach you how to lift up boxes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and
That might-
even
that-
even like getting your entry accepted is in some ways in itself like an interview. You could compare that to like an interview because your entry is not 100% for certain going to be included. It's like only if it's good enough will it be included. So it's similar to like, oh well, it's almost like a test of skill as well.
Yeah,
Entering
and when
a
you
collab.
do eventually,
Perhaps.
and when you do eventually see your you watch back the video and you see your entry within the video, you get that sort of nice warm fuzzy feeling like they noticed me.
I haven't
Oh my
gotten
gosh.
that yet, so that's
You
why I'm
can-
anticipating
Oh, it
this.
is it,
Oh,
it is
speaking
glorious.
speaking of getting accepted into collabs, you can't
something.
Whoa.
you can't imagine how happy I was when I saw my entry in Raxo's collab.
Oh,
That was probably the best thing that happened to me in my entire career. That was amazing.
I should
Congrats.
run a collab.
getting
I've
fuzzy
always
feelings is
wanted
not
to
my
do
job
one.
description.
I've always wanted to run a collab, but I'm never sure like what the topic would be. Because like the
Eh.
main topic I've always wanted to do is like fight scene collab because I love fight scenes.
Yes.
And I find them very, very interesting to run in Gmod. Like if in Subscriber Quest 3, for example, like I do a lot of combat there, so it'd be interesting to see how people manage to take such a concept. My worry is that it will get a bit too complex, but then people can make it as complex as they want.
Yeah.
For me in combat animation,
Yeah,
it's
that's
getting
that-
too complex is the least of my worries.
Just throw the
Yeah.
person against the wall and be done with
Yeah.
it, damn you.
Yeah, but also Grinder, that's because you're like a god at making fighting animations, so you have little to no problems with them.
Thank you, child.
You are very welcome, father.
Okay, this is getting weird. Let's move on.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is kind of
I'm
so.
turning
Just to sum up, now that we've had
turning into a religion.
beautiful general collab discussion, let us have a very fun closure. Like describe in one sentence first TV collab and then Scout is Delicious collab. Come on, Evil, you go first.
No, I'll pass because I don't know too much.
Oh shit.
Well,
Grinder.
Sure, if I
I've been an
understand.
outside
Um,
observer looking in through the window.
Okay, I don't know too. Like, I haven't seen the official announcement video, so I have no idea what it's about exactly. But I've seen a lot of entries, and from what I can see, it's just like it's the hive of memes. Like,
Oh yeah.
it's just like, all right, I have the empty husk of a potential meme. Now, all of you have at the just people are making so many memes. But like, from what I've seen, there's a lot of talented people like tackling this collab. So it is pretty interesting to watch. And there's also a lot of there's variety, but in the fashion of just like randomness, not exactly like potentialness. I don't know how to put it, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can
So
definitely
it's
see
it's
that.
definitely just one of those collabs where it's just a random meme fest.
Yeah.
What Gmod is.
And Zach?
It's like what you just said. It's like a meme fest. It's really a place where people can. I'd say that Scott is Delicious is a place where people can just take their like worst jokes and like the deepest recesses of their mind and just put it into Gmod form and just be done with it. And it's like it's
just something to do.
It's not exactly. I'm not sure if this is the right term to call it, but it's not exactly organized. But the concept is not exactly organized, but it's a fun collab, and I think that's part of what makes collabs interesting and what makes collabs what they are. Just something fun for people to participate in.
It's also a simple topic.
Yeah,
So it's really easy to get into, and also the suggested entry length is very appealing for those people who just want to kind of spend a week on a video or week or two and just throw something out there and have fun with it. And what about you, Raf?
What I love about that collab, the Scott is Delicious collab, is that it basically brings a lot of people back to the old days. Like, I don't know if you guys heard about the original video Scott is Delicious, but
Oh yeah.
back in the day, it was something really huge. Like, people were not really aware of the possibilities of Gmod and what it could offer. And some people actually started making these videos really simple, like Scott is Delicious, Heavy is Dog, Engineer is Crow, something like that.
My favorite is Heavy is Credit Card, I think.
Heavy is Credit Card.
I have
Charlie.
My favorite will always be Heavy as Helicopter or something along. No, Heavy is Jetpack. That's it.
Oh, yeah.
is
Yeah.
there one that's like heavy as motorbike?
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing is, it actually brings people back, and it's also a nice anniversary because if I remember right, it was made in 2008. So
Yep.
it's already
Christ.
10 years since that video was released, and this is a good way to celebrate Gmod and how far it has come.
Raph,
In
you
my
just made me
opinion.
feel old. That was 8 years ago. That was like 10 years ago.
Yeah, it was 10 years ago.
Oh my.
Oh, you darn fish gunners!
Yeah.
Oh,
And
I do
I
remember that
still
was the cool
I
thing.
still remember the days when I would just sit around on my ass and watch Rubber Fruits videos all day. Like, man, this collab brings memories back.
It really did sort of
Oh
like
man,
bring
Rubber
to-
Fruit gave me nightmares. Not even joking.
it really did sort of bring to attention like how like the concept of sentence mixing in a way, because I think that because like that wasn't the line that was said in the game, so what the hell. So yeah, that was the beginning of sentence mixing.
Oh yeah.
So, to finish,
I feel like
to finish up this discussion, I am just gonna shush. I am just gonna finish this question with one funny punchline.
Uh-oh.
Okay. 2008 called it wants its punchlines back.
Oh,
Oh, there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So,
Hey, let's
now
talk
that
about
we're
sentence
done
mixing.
now that we're done talking about our own videos and the videos of random people on the internet who want to get exposure, why don't we talk about videos of people who already made it big in the game? Starting out with a pretty old classic, Spice Creed, by Mr. O.
I
yes.
love this video so much.
Oh yeah.
That's great.
This is Spice Creed is my favorite Gmod video ever.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure if I've made like a ranking of like these are the top Gmod videos ever, but Spice Creed would be number one easily. Just because
Yeah.
it really did help inspire things like ScoutCon. Just like because it was a different kind of Gmod video. Like before that, like all the Gmod videos have been like, look how hard I can throw this heavy into a barrel. Or
Yeah.
something along those lines, or like, hey, look at this. This is a bird. No, it's heavy. But then Spice
Yeah.
Creed sort of showed storytelling potential, and I love that.
Yeah. Quite possibly, I think that Spice Creed may have been one of the videos that actually got me into the animation at all. Like, this is probably the one that gave me the drive to create animations and to actually get into more elaborate filmmaking, storytelling, that kind of stuff. And then also that, then I also, watched the Dr. Faces videos, those more plot-driven. There were also Uberman's videos, which were more on the shitposty, meme side, but still had some decent storytelling that gave me a few ideas how to incorporate that. Still, it all came back to Spice Creed, always. It was that influential.
I'm just watching it on the stream now, and I'm smiling so much because during the time I was making more videos, I would always sort of measure myself up as oh, this animation isn't as good. This animation needs to be better. But then after I made Scout Code and after I made NG's Very Bad Day or something along those lines, I came back to the video and realized the animation isn't as this isn't coming off in a mean way, but the animation isn't as good as I remembered it being. It's a lot more primitive. It's a lot more simple. But it's little touches. I think there was a little scene of Spy running away from Heavy. I used to think that was pinnacle of animation, but when I slowed it down frame by frame because I am a nerd, it was it's 2-3 frames of leg movement. And I think it's a masterpiece of a video. I'm getting really gushy about this. I do apologize, but
I mean, as much as the animation is dated, I still think it's a very good example of how good of an animation you can get despite not having the tools that we have now. Because at the time, I believe stop motion helper wasn't a thing. Henry's animation tool wasn't a thing.
Well, no, actually, it is a thing.
Maybe.
It's right at the end. This is used. Henry's animation tool.
There's a part where it's soldier and spy fighting, which at the time when I saw it, I had a seizure of how cool it was. It sparked the small little tiny flame that made me what I am today with my combat animations. It's awesome.
Oh yeah. And what about the other two guys that haven't really talked about the Spice Creed yet? Maybe starting out with Raph?
Oh yeah, of course. The thing with Spy Creed is that when I saw it back in the day, I was just amazed by it. It was incredible. I don't remember seeing a lot of Gmoders actually reaching that level of quality using Gmod. You can clearly see that the animation, the storytelling, the camera, everything is actually made really with a lot of effort and consideration. And back in the day, I was man, if one day I managed to reach at least that level, I would just be so happy. It was just incredible back in the day. It like Grindr said, it wasn't actually the time when the stop motion helper was popular, so people were basically still using some rudimentary methods to animate on Gmod. So you can say it's pretty impressive for the time, but nowadays it can seem a little bit underwhelming for the today's standards.
Well,
but it's still a legendary video.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Yep. Okay, you go.
All right. Yeah. I think Spice Creed is such a legendary video because despite how simple it may seem now in terms of its animation, it has aged very well, I feel. Because it uses its simple animation, but it uses that to tell a story. And that story is what really puts it together, and it's a very great story that it follows how a spy just feels really bad about himself, and he goes on this journey to become a master spy. And this twist about his master, it's just a really great story. And I feel the animation quality doesn't even matter as much because the story makes up so much for it.
May I have an input to that? Okay. Because it does have a really good story, but something that it's icing on the cake is not only does it have a good story, but it has good story elements like foreshadowing and stuff. Because there's a part that normally you just think was just a random moment, but when he meets Heavy, the legendary spy is looks like I'm not the only spy, and laughs, and then just now then, and
Oh,
you
yeah.
realize that actually comes into play when you rewatch it because
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's foreshadowing. Good.
And then there's also why normal films would become like instant classics is just because like basically what everyone else has said is that it's really different from every animation at the time, but in all the right ways. Like I think that was the thing with The Incredibles when it was released, how it's like it really changed a lot of elements from normal films that Disney made, but like it did it so right and just made it instantly a classic.
Yeah, pretty much. And despite being innovative and really going an extra mile, it's still pretty simple to consume for an average viewer, you could say.
Yeah.
It still has a very simple message, very simple story, and it's revolutionary, but not in a way that you need to have like a master's degree to understand it.
Even the feeble mind of the viewers can understand.
Yeah, exactly.
What's also really good, something I noticed as like since Spy Sweet has been playing on the stream as we've been talking about this, I'm reminded of a comment I got on one of my videos a while ago. That like we can tell what's going on with no audio. Like, I mean, even though we watch this, we know the story beats, we know what's going on in the story without really like having any audio cues to it.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think that's a really good mark of like visual storytelling as well. Like through the facial expressions, through the characters.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good point of it as well.
It's like a silent film, but without even it's like if you took a silent film and even took away those like text boxes that appear after every like sentence. But like even then, some silent films without those text boxes, they might not make sense. But if you make a film that doesn't even need its audio, well, it can. If you make a video that can still like tell a great story, or like that won't confuse the viewer even without the audio, that's a sign that you're doing something.
Oh, that's right.
That's poetic.
Pretty much.
Amen.
Yeah, being able to pretty much communicate with the audience and tell them what is going on, and they can all like understand it all clearly, even without the additional cues. That's when you really made it in storytelling, I'd say.
Yeah.
It's also another example that we already talked about on G-Pod was that intelligence, where you had two identically looking spies who had distinct enough of personalities that you could always tell which one is which, despite them looking
I can
exact
sense a
same.
serious amount of like like anger when you said two identical spies.
I am just getting very emotional, okay? I want to engage
Deep into the
viewers,
dark
damn it.
past.
Welcome to G-Pod 13. We get emotional over 3D figures of things.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry if I
Spice,
sorry to
make me sad
interrupt,
now.
but
Next
I
up,
actually-
on G-Pod 14, we're gonna cry for half an hour about Mufasa's death.
I
Go ahead,
am
press that.
gonna cry now.
hey guys,
Yeah.
that actually reminds me. Talking about how the two spies are identical, but they still have very different personalities, reminds me of the limitations of Gmod that you might have.
Exactly.
Because even though there are like countless models on the workshop, usually the TF2 models are a lot of people's go-tos, and the TF2 models are literally just 9 guys. And even though you can change their appearances with like cosmetics and stuff, you still have to, if you're animating them, you still have to find a way to give them different traits. For instance, like different personalities, because otherwise they would just be like literally 2 scouts. That reminds me of the Team Neighborhood video.
Yeah, you did segue into that pretty early, because actually we're gonna segue into that right now.
All right.
What a great transition. Let's
Yeah,
talk
but-
about
real quick.
or more precisely the newest episode, which is named Bush Beaters.
Bush.
I'm gonna take a minute now. I've not properly watched a Team Neighborhood video. Like, I feel bad for saying that. But, like,
you shouldn't.
Okay.
the more recent ones I haven't properly seen. I saw bits of the first one, but it sort of came during a time when I was really zoned out of Garry's Mod for a while. So so
Oh, well.
I'll look into it.
Yeah. You should watch them sometime.
and you should definitely, because Team Neighborhood is kind of a very good example of what Gmod animation today is, how far
I'm
it has
I'm
come,
excited.
pretty much. And you should. The animation quality is pretty much out of this world when you think about it. And also really well, what it does really well is it mixes with SFM sometimes almost seamlessly. Like there are a few scenes where you can almost instantly tell that, oh, wait a minute, someone changed the software. And sometimes it's like, wait a minute, that was made in SFM, or wait a minute, that wasn't Gmod.
Yeah.
Wait, what? I thought that was the other thing.
If there was any of those moments and I didn't notice.
Right,
yeah.
should we switch over to it?
Yeah, I mean, we did already switch over to it, but Awesome didn't really catch on to that.
He's too enamored with the storyline.
Yeah, Awesome. Get your mind out of the gutter, man. All right.
Come
Yeah.
on,
You're
man.
cool, Awesome. Don't worry about it. You're awesome.
Yeah. So, who would like to start talking about their thoughts on Team Neighborhood Episode 4? Maybe Zach? Would you like to start the conversation?
All right. Well, I feel like Team Neighborhood 4 was, how should I say this? It made me very excited because I first saw it and it was like 48 minutes long. I was like, oh man, this is gonna be good. I watched the first like intro scene, like the dream sequence, and I'm like, oh my god, what the hell is this? I'm sure maybe some of you guys have gotten that feeling.
Oh, yeah.
8 minutes long?
Yes, it is clearly a Gmod movie.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
It's literally a movie.
Jumping.
Yeah. Well, the dream sequence. Well, I'll call it the dream sequence. I'm not sure if it was meant to be a dream sequence, but it's so surreal. It's the perfect hook. It drags the viewer in, and it made me want to
Unwillingly,
watch the rest of the thing.
No, definitely.
Yeah, and they spaced out the plot very well across the entire 48 minutes. It doesn't not a second feels like it's dragged on, and I feel like because even the idea that like these three guys, Scout, Demo, and Sniper, are going on this competition. And the competition is spaced out into three sectors, not sectors, quadrants,
Challenges.
and challenges. But each challenge is spaced out quite well, and it also like the Scout, right? The Scout in the beginning, he's very reluctant to go with Sniper and Demo, because he only goes in at first because there's a prize, and then Sniper's like,
Bragging, right?
there's a prize. Scout's like, what kind of prize? He's like, didn't specify. And even then, Scout's like, what? I'm not sure if I want to go or not. But then he starts out being like, even the first challenge, he doesn't want to be there. You can tell that the Scout doesn't want to be there. He's just on his phone and just doing shit. And he's just basically being useless to the team, essentially. But as the story goes on, you get this arc of development for the Scout, which I think is really great. They get this arc of development for the Scout where he basically just contributes to the team. And he starts out being very not caring, and he just ends up being a very important factor to their team in the competition. And I feel like that those sub-arcs, subplots in the story are very good. And I feel like that's what puts it together and makes it really worthy of those 48 minutes instead of being just like a 10-minute short or something.
And what I could describe as a really good hook for Team Neighborhood as just a prime example of how well it can keep viewers' attention. It made just sitting in a tent look intense. There's just one competition when all of the participants just sit in their tents for 24 hours. The rules are they are not allowed to go out of the tent, they're not allowed to sleep, they're not allowed to drink, they're not allowed to eat. Just sit in a tent for 24 hours.
Yeah.
And they somehow made it engaging to the viewer.
This is actually fascinating as a first time watcher, like just like watching this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Again, like I'm just quiet because I'm just like watching, and it's like I'm really impressed with how good this looks.
Oh yeah.
They got all sorts of stuff going on here. They got like physics, they got stop motion, they got lighting effects, they got like player running arounding.
Yeah.
The level of detail and the general effort put into every single scene in this whole series actually is just amazing, and this is pretty much the thing that we could all strive for.
I remember watching the
Sure.
first episode and looking back at the first episode and remembering the fourth episode. They've really, really evolved their animation quality and like their cinematography. They have turned it from just a normal, oh, cool animation with two teams, red and blue. They've turned it into its own like movie series, and I think it's like what you just said. It is something we should strive for.
Yeah, it's pretty much its own universe at this point.
Yeah.
Especially with that foreshadowing bit right at the end after the credits.
Oh yeah, that is some like Gmod cinematic universe stuff.
Oh yeah.
That's like a universal foreshadowing though. Like they've had that kind of hinted for every episode too.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
and
never
this is-
realized.
Hmm.
Maybe
Yeah,
it was
well, I mean-
every
but-
episode ends with them being spied on by robots.
Yeah. Well,
Ooh.
then that's now that's a very good motivational thing to get you to rewatch the previous episodes and look for the clues for that.
Oh yeah.
The scene building is fantastic. I must say, like a lot, like every
Mhm.
single like area is just like filled with like all these little tiny details. Like it's like on the stream, it's getting to the parts where it's all the guys just sort of lounging around in their homes, like soldiers over his little war game thing, scouts like
Yeah.
in bed, and there's just so much going on. It does remind me of a Great Cartoon Pony type video because in those there was shit everywhere, and in this there's carnage going on everywhere,
Yeah.
but not like in a distracting way, in a colorful way.
It
Fascinating.
contributes to the scene instead of detracting from
Yeah,
like the
exactly.
focus of the viewer. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
and they feel like each scene build feels like its own map, which is great because I didn't even think about the fact that these are all probably scene builds until
Yes.
you mentioned it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is all RP written.
This is all Ape House, actually.
Yeah, I just
It's
realized.
all just
Ape House.
Ape House with different props.
Yeah,
laid
like
all
normally
over.
Ape House, you go into it, it's super bland, and you look at Skeleton Soldier's room, it's basically TF2.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
No, and also, it's not like it's just random shit thrown together to basically be as a filler in there. You can see how it reflects on the personalities of the characters and how it reflects on their interests. And also, there's a few hidden gags here and there for those with the sharp eye to notice them.
Yeah.
That's a really, really cool thing.
Actually, I want to talk about that first sequence because I don't know if that was supposed to be foreshadowing. I know there was that part where Sniper was like looking through a scope, and I feel like that could have been a bit of foreshadowing for that last sequence when they were gonna try and take down that giant monster, that giant Bigfoot. Because when he was aiming through a scope to like shoot the dynamite, and like in the very last like Bigfoot scene, I got flashbacks to that first dream sequence when he was looking through a scope and a soldier was like shooting him.
Oh yeah.
Like because otherwise I'm not sure how it could. Because otherwise I don't know how that first sequence could connect to the rest of the video. Because
Isn't
it is an
it
intro
something
sequence.
Completely different. Like
Yeah.
I'm thinking these dream sequences are just like a normal sequence. Just every time I don't know how to explain, but in every of his videos, you see that same sequences from different point of views. Like for example, the engineer being on the long chair drinking while the heavy tries to tell him that there's big stickies rolling on his direction. You see the same scene from the point of view of the sniper in the actual Team Neighborhood 4.
Oh shit! Really?
Oh
yeah, they're all in the same dream, but it's just in different point of views. Like I think
Ooh.
in Soldier's sequence, you can just see him flying around shooting rockets like crazy.
Oh, and
And,
that's
like-
what Sniper sees.
Yeah, but like so in
Oh.
Soldier's point of view, you can see him shoot Sniper, but in Snipers, you can see him get shot by Soldier.
Slightly off topic. The stream's now showing like driving scenes. This is fascinating.
Yeah.
Driving scenes are very hard to do in Gmod.
Mm-hmm.
So I am applause.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Driving is hard to do.
Yeah. And it's
amazing.
not
It was
only
good.
it's not only well made from a technical standpoint, but it's also really entertaining with all the bits you can see in the background.
Yeah.
There's a ton of little funny stuff that you can notice, possibly as just simple gags or references to other videos and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what really makes this scene.
Yeah, I feel like from a technical standpoint, in most of the scenes, scenes where they're focusing on whoever's in the van, like Sniper and Scout, the moving background is just blurred. So one, you can use that as an opportunity to just make a looping background because it's already blurred. Nobody's going to notice. And two, it takes focus off of the background because that's not the important part. The important part is the Scout and Sniper that are in the van right now. And I feel like that is good. I really like how they did the blurring on the back. It's because sometimes if you're looking at driving sequences, some Gmod videos just don't have any blur on the background at all, and you just kind of get distracted by it. And even in real life, when you're trying to look out the window, or if you're trying to focus on someone, or like in action movies, when there's like car chase sequences, like the background is usually just kind of like blurry because in real life, if you're trying to look out a car, like everything's moving by very quickly, so it's even just blurred like that. And I feel like that's one kind of realistic. It's not the same type of blur, but it gets the point across that you're not focusing on the background. And two, it's just it adds to the cinematography and the general feel of the episode.
And now that we're on the scene in the bathroom stall,
This is a trip. We started off having this like really like interesting dream sequence that started off, and now with this, like this is humor I would have done in 2012, man.
Yeah,
They
but
pulled it off.
anyway, what I was going to get to was that the scene on the gas station actually reminds me of the one thing that I'd like to bring up here is that what Team Neighborhood, most importantly, this particular episode, what it does well. Evil, shush for a second. Okay, no, that's not a problem. Anyway, this episode really does is that it really well incorporates models from other media, and it intertwines it with the TF2, and it feels natural. Because sometimes when you have some particular Gmod type of video, and you try to combine different media with the TF2, it just feels really obnoxiously shoved. It just there's no reason for it. There's no grace, you could say. It just kind of forces just like, oh look, it's a thing from a different game. Wow, isn't that wacky? Wow, the Great Dictator and the Batman guy did manage to pretty much connect the two. They managed to make it so that it's not completely obnoxious. They made it so that those two medias basically connect together in a very decent fashion. And it was really entertaining to see all those different models come together and play out a pretty decent role in the video. Like later on, there's a much bigger variety than just different games. Like you have those Lego men, you have characters from really, really even obscure games. It's just all really fun to see to come together.
Yeah. I also like how everything in this animation happens for a reason. Like, how
Quite sure.
Demo Man takes a picture of a banana, and that takes place later when they're hunting for Bigfoot.
Oh yeah.
Then Scout gets the the thing from the store, and that comes into play later for when they're trying to stop the Bigfoot. Scout's phone being dropped in the water, that comes into play later for the shark tracking down Scout. It's just awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And them dropping the med kit too. That leads
Oh, yeah,
to
that too.
Sniper being too injured to participate in the tent. So
That leads
Scout
to
has
Cool
to go.
Cat.
That's always something I like. I tried. I'd like to try doing in like my videos at times is like having like actual continuity. Because like that's what I always liked about all like the other videos we've been talking about today.
Mhm.
You know, stuff actually comes back later. Like, you know, it's not just like funny joke done. It's all like actual stuff.
That's the
Yep.
thing. Like they do that so well. They make stuff seem like a funny joke, actually, like a thing that's gonna come to play later on
Oh,
the
yeah.
video. So
Yeah.
it's like every funny joke happens for a reason.
Yeah, and what I would really love to see is people just experiment with that kind of storytelling and even actually build upon what they have, build those universes, and then perhaps make things have a long-term impact. That's what I'm basically saying.
Mhm.
Because so far, if there are any Gmod series, basically they are just kind of locked within the realm of their own separate episodes. Like, for example, most of the time, Team Neighborhood episodes are each connected mostly through their characters and locations, but the events. Basically, it's good from a standpoint of the fact that if you watch Team Neighborhood episode 3 without seeing the previous two, then you'll be fine. You will completely understand what's going on, and you will have no problem whatsoever. But I really think that also you could build upon what you have and expand it even further. Perhaps. I don't know if you guys agree with that or not.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something I also like about it too is how it doesn't just use like TF2 models. Like there's Borderlands, there's Halo, there's all the other games. And after seeing so much of TF2, like how TF2 is like one of the only things used for Gmod animation, which is something I like to do too, where it's just kind of stray from that and just use models from something else. And it makes me feel a little bit more giddy when I see like Halo or Borderlands or Dark Souls just in it, because it's just like, oh, I haven't seen this before.
I do know why exactly it is why like TF2 models are used a lot more frequently. Like, so compare like a TF2 model to say like a different kind of model. TF2 models are designed for this sort of thing. Like they have the proper facial flexes, they have the proper like body movements.
Mhm.
Most of the other models don't have the same sort of expression ability, and if they do, it's a lot harder to achieve. Like I know with the Mario model in particular, for example, you can do interesting expressions, but like they're hidden behind such strange file names of what they are.
Yeah.
And also,
so
most of the
it's
time,
just
they
not-
are not rigged.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just a lot easier to use TF2 models just because like they're designed to be used in such a way.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and Raf, you've seemed pretty quiet on the topic. Would you like to add something?
Yeah, there's been a lot of things discussed, so I don't really have a lot to add about it. But what I can say is that Team Neighborhood is, like you guys actually said, is what we should all strive to accomplish when doing Gmod videos. I mean, I can understand that some people want to go with different styles, like doing some kind of rubber fruit video or something like that. It's completely okay. At the very end, it's like you do what you think is the most fun, and you really don't care about the type of entertainment you provide. But Team Neighborhood is actually the pinnacle of what is capable of being done in Gmod. You can see that Great Dictator has a good team. They are pretty organized. Everything is thought from the beginning till the end. And you can really see the big continuity throughout the whole series, not only for the fourth episode, but also for the previous ones. And this is actually, this is important. Well, you pretty much said basically all I wanted to say about it, so I don't really have a lot of things to add. I just love the continuity, like the Anal Love, the banana picture, the med pack. Everything was just so calculated, and it was actually good to see. Like you feel like the people behind it just had some ambition, and this was nice.
Oh yeah.
So yeah,
I feel
Oh,
like
yeah.
you can always.
You
always
also did
tell
bring up-
when you can always tell when somebody puts effort into a video versus when they don't.
Yeah.
Like, even if they cut corners.
Yep. And also, it was a very good point that you, Raph, brought up that Team Neighborhood had a really high production value.
exactly.
That's what I got out of
wanted
it.
to say.
So yeah. So that's also a really good point because you get those really high quality animations, really long running times. Even I think they have a few modelers on board and a lot of voice actors too.
It's nice to have a team, actually. This is something that everyone dreams about, like having a team that thinks exactly like you want, does exactly what you want. Sometimes I wish I could clone myself just to be more efficient at what I'm doing. But hey,
Oh yeah.
To answer like a little comment that I noticed in the chat just now from Troy.
Wait. Actually, we were going to jump straight to that. We're going to jump into the Twitch questions. So yeah, actually, feel free to read it out. Read out the question.
So Triton Live says we lack serious stories in the Gmod community. I think that is sort of difficult to do with Gmod, given like how Gmod works. It's a physics-based sandbox game. Like it's hard to do a very serious story with that sort of thing. Oh, people have certainly tried and they've done very well. One thing I always like to go to is I hope I'm saying his name right because I'll kick myself. I haven't. Abo Abdulable, Engineers Complex Crisis. Very good video. Not many people talk about it, but I think it's got quite a few subscribers now. I would definitely put that for the next Gpod if I could. Very, very creative video. Quite interestingly dark story.
That's
Okay.
the kind of stuff I was.
If I may add
when I
some-
first saw this.
Okay. You go, Grinder. I thought you were going to say something.
Oh, okay. I do agree with Triton a lot, though. Is that like, I really do plan on making a lot more serious animations myself, because I just, as we discussed a lot already today, is like, I really like adding, I think, the difference in Gmod videos, like something you wouldn't normally see, and like, I've actually been working on a series for a while now, and it's kind of like a sorry, I'm having a lot of trouble putting my thoughts to words real quick.
It's all right.
But I want to make one of those series where it's like, it starts like really funny and stuff and comedic, and everything just seems to be for random sake, but eventually it comes to play and it actually just shifts more to seriousness. Like, I want to make it so it doesn't lose complete touch with the humor it had in the first place, but it's definitely a lot more in depth, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That'll be very interesting to see.
Yeah, I want to see a lot more of those, because like, just seeing a lot more serious Gmod animations like what Triton is working on, like, really intrigued me, and I just want to see a lot more of it.
Yeah. Would anyone else like to say something
about the series? I don't think this is that much rare, because I see a lot of people actually going into Gmod series themselves. For example, I myself go a lot into Gmod series. For example, I did the TF2 review that was pretty much a series about all the classes, and now I'm pretty much working on a series with Watch Fortress. It will be like 3 episodes, and even after that I feel like I'm going to do another series, but hey, that's a secret.
Oh yeah. So if I may add a really nice closure to the question of the series, is that it's very hard to not be pretentious when you're trying to go for something a little more serious in Gmod.
Yeah.
And this segues into the chat question that I just noticed from the Mr. Shadowon, which is, what do you consider edgy in a Gmod story-driven video?
Oh boy.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Oh boy. If I may start out, is that if you make Mary Sue's in your freaking story, if you introduce at least one Mary Sue or Gary Sue, you should fuck off right now.
Gary Sue.
This
Okay,
Is
that's
this-
that's an entirely different conversation than Gary Stu and Mary Sue, because like I think people's expectations of what a Mary Sue and a Gary Stu are, it's different from what it actually is. But it's because like a Mary Sue basically like their very existence makes the plot revolve around them rather than be like, oh, stereotypical characters.
Yeah, and the weakness will be pretty much generic, like, oh, he's going to take an hostage of people he loves. Oh god, I'm powerless against hostages. Oh god, no. This is the problem with Marisus most of the time, because you have to made up a weakness about them, and it's usually the like, oh, I don't want to lose my significant other because if not, I'm going to be dead inside. And well, you see what I mean.
To answer stat motion, sorry. A Mary Sue is I wouldn't say it's an OC that is overpowered, and
It's just a character in general.
it is a character who, by its very existence, makes the plot revolve around them. Like they are the best at everything by default. Everybody loves them by default.
Everybody
They are-
wants them, and even the enemy sometimes
They are
admits that they are very good and shit.
They are like a flawless character that can do no wrong, essentially. And it's not a very interesting character. That's the problem with it. Like, there's no meat to that bone. It came from a Star
some
Trek
meat on the bone.
fan. It came from a Star Trek fanfic. Go look up the origins. Very interesting read, but edgy in a Gmod story. I would think serial killer stuff is pretty edgy. Just because, like, it's so like it's so low effort. Like anybody can put a scout in a creepy mask and make him stab a guy. Takes a bit more than that to get the gears turning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What I
Yeah,
think is edgy in a Gmod video is basically people just trying to make an action scene without any context. Like, oh, this is the scout and he has weapons and misc, and oh, this is the spy and they're going to fight together. Oh, it's nice to actually train.
That makes it kind of edgy then.
But
Yeah.
if you actually add nothing else on top of it, it's just like, hey, look, I like to animate violence and combats. It's nice, yay. It has to be a little bit of context behind it.
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah, exactly. If you have proper stakes set and wait to the fight itself, like fight shouldn't be the focus. It's what the fight is about that you should put in front. Like first you think of the relations between the characters, and then you try to think, what does this fight actually mean to them? If you go for more like serious, edgy kind of feel.
Yeah, you have to identify yourself to the characters. If you do not feel any emotional support toward these characters, you're just going to see two people fighting. It's like two people fight on the street, and you're like, oh, these people are fighting. Nice.
Yeah.
Mind you.
Oh.
Sorry, you first.
Thank you. In the least egotistical way possible, this brings me to the animation I made called The Monsters Out of Men.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically that, like, senseless violence and stuff. But I feel like I kind of intended it to be edgy in a state where it's like, the main purpose of the animation is combat, but I guess the message of it is how, in a wasteland, like, you lose touch with humanity, and how, like, there's a last guy, and he's, like, bleeding out, and, the guy who is the protagonist or whatever has a gun, so you can kind of put one and one together. But like the point is that how he like hesitates at the end because he just kind of realizes what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
But like what I was kind of afraid of making that part though was that like normally in a Gmon animation you wouldn't go as in depth of thinking like of that. You just think like, all right, this is like a test animation or something, so you're just doing that for effect or something. But like I really want to add like more in-depth reasons for things. But I do completely agree that like senseless violence or just like how do I put it? Like if you make stuff happen without a reason or just no like finality to it or just no payoff, then I'd consider that pretty edgy.
Yeah.
So, like,
Edgy.
I've made quite the edgy animation. If this is
I
the
find
code.
I find
much.
Team Killer. Don't know if you guys.
Oh
remember
yeah,
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 yeah.
series of
Yeah.
Team Killer.
Team Killer and like the actual serious Christian Brutal sniper stuff. Those were edgy. Those are very edgy.
Yeah.
Way
like,
too edgy, you could say.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, Team Killer and the Christian Brutal Sniper, they take like one motive and they take it way too far and they just start killing people.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's why they kill people, just because of one motive. And I feel like they could use some fleshing out. And what all of you, I agree with all of it. I feel like if there's violence and it's going on without any reason, it's soulless. It's just an animation about violence, and that's what makes things edgy. Because usually when you think about edgy things, it's like, I don't have a soul, or like edgy characters say like things like, I don't have a soul, I don't have a heart, I have no emotions. That's what an animation without a story is. That has no emotion. It's devoid of its own reason, and I feel like that's what makes some things edgy. Just like no reason to whatever they're doing.
Yeah, my big
This is
question
a
to
really
all
nice
those characters is like, I have no heart, I have no soul, I have no nothing. Then you sat there thinking, well, what do you have?
Blood.
Weird flex, but okay.
Butane brings up a fantastic point. Our world now is the worst. It is the actual worst.
Oh.
Oh my god. Okay, nothing gets me as. Oh, I hate our world now so much. It is.
Why do good girls like bad guys? I've had this question for a
Question
very
for
long
a
time.
really long time. So why do good girls wanna be Tracer?
Okay, listen, we're getting off topic here.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
If everyone's had their input, we should
to-
go to another
to
question.
kind of-
this bottle before I start going on about our world now. But
Yeah, okay, sure. So to kind of cut it right here, I'm gonna move on to a bit of a more niche question from Lol Scorpion, which is mostly dedicated to me and Raph. Have you ever considered doing an animation in your native language? Raph, you start.
I actually did years ago when I started making Gmod videos, because back in the day I was really, really bad at English. Like all French people actually were. Like English language is not really that well popular in our country for some obscure reasons. And I was like struggling with English, and I was feeling stupid trying to speak it, like constantly making grammar mistakes and everything. And I was like, fuck this, I'm going to make a French one, and I'm just going to go with it even though people don't like it. But I was feeling that if I did that, people would just dislike my video, because they will not understand what I wanted to say, and it will just completely cut the audience from my content. So I was actually saying to myself, even if I suck with English, I will just try to go on with it, and we'll see what it does. And I will just limit the dialogue just so I don't have too much mistakes on it. But yeah, I considered doing some native languages Gmod animation at some point. Just
I've
like
done plenty of animations in my native
wait.
language.
Oh yeah, you did. You did do that. Yeah.
There's not too much dialogue in my animations. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
If I were
no.
to answer that question, first of all, most of you probably know already that I'm Polish, because I am very proudly parading with that fact, and that's kind of a thing that all Poles have. We just like to show ourselves off from that kind of side. We like to share our culture, our language with people, and we are very, very happy boys when people talk in Polish to us and basically know a few words, like a one word or two, a few fun facts about our culture, about our history. That's all really cool stuff. And I was also thinking kind of incorporating that, actually, not entire videos, but I did want to include a bits where you could basically have scenes where, for example, I don't know, my character Erdeman is just sitting somewhere alone and is either talking to someone else who speaks in Polish, or to himself just speaks Polish, and even not include subtitles so that people just try to figure out what's going on.
Or just
Basically, that would be a challenge to me, because I would really need to nail down visual storytelling to go with that.
You could always up the ante too, which like that's too much
yeah.
effort. But where it's like you could always just revoice it twice in different
yeah.
languages.
Kind of. And I was also
that-
thinking actually of incorporating not only my native language but also various languages. Like, I'm gonna spoil this, but that's probably not gonna be brought up until 5 years later.
Oh God!
Yeah, I was gonna have a scene in Through the Night where Erdogan is just crying and watches a Korean freaking soap opera and is basically sobbing and is talking in Korean. Something like
Oh my god.
Interesting.
yeah.
Early leak.
So there's that.
I speak English, so
Oh damn.
yeah, that's my native language, and all my videos are in English. So
Just to complete.
Yeah,
funny.
we already make videos in our native language. Oh, yo.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, now that that's done, next question is from Step Motion, and it's also a pretty interesting one. Do you think it's possible for Gmod animations to help you get into college in case of showing your portfolio for computer animation, etc.?
You would be surprised actually how much credence that gives you, because animation of any sort can be shown as the fact that you've animated this, because like even if like animation comes from like a weird source like Garry's Mod, it's still animation. Like it still presents you the different forms of what animation looks like. It shows you have employers and schools kind of do this thing where they look at like what your skill sets are and could shape up to be. Like, so say like you went with a group saying like, hey, I made this on a program, and then they're not thinking about what program you made it on. They might not even know what Garry's Mod is, for example, but they're looking at the animation and how good your animation is. And skills within Garry's Mod can transfer over into other things like Blender and whatnot, given the proper training.
Yeah, I was actually thinking of including my YouTube channel as kind of a portfolio for my uni if I were to apply somewhere for animation.
Oh yeah.
Unfortunately, it would also mean that I would have to go abroad because there's no animation unis in Poland. There's none of that.
Yeah. Well, you you can always hang on. Brain is my mouth is speaking too fast for my brain. That always happens. There's a lot of aspects in Gmod, like for example the ragdoll mover. That is very much the same thing you'd find in basically every 3D animation program ever. And stop motion helper is in a lot of things as well, just a bit smoother in most things. So learning how to animate in Garry's Mod is actually a really good step into knowing how to do other things. And as well, you can use Garry's Mod to augment your other editing things. Like I'll give an example. In my university course, it was like a green screen based video where the entire thing had to be one guy on a green screen. There was a scene where we needed to have a shark chase the guy. I animated that shark entirely in Gmod.
Oh, okay.
And that got like très bien points. So yeah, it's viable. It's completely viable. It shows you like there's no industry like when it comes to schools and whatnot. Like it's just show me what you got, and we'll see if you're good or not.
So what you
creativity like that?
So what you mean by that? If I were to apply at a uni, I can freely show my banana.wav.
Potentially.
Just
look at Antoine Black.
He actually applied to an animation college, and he was starting basically with Gmod animation, and he pretty much showed his Gmod animation as his portfolio. So yeah, definitely the question is yes, he can actually do it with Gmod. So you can.
The more you know, kids. Follow your dreams. Because you can.
No matter how dumb they are, they're still your dreams, and your dreams matter.
Yeah. That actually makes me think about well, despite your dreams being dreams, and your animation is what is a step towards making them come true. There might come a point when you might start feeling like you're running out of ideas, and that actually brings me to the attention of another viewers ask about.
Oh yeah, that's
We
that's
get tired
actually
of
topic of another question, which you just read
Can we
out.
talk about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Will
can talk
you
about that,
ever
right?
get tired of animating Gmod videos? That is a very good question, if you ask me.
It's asked by Shane Toon, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Let's skip over it then.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, I don't think
If I can answer the
personally.
question-
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Personally, I don't think I would get tired of animating Gmods, but that's not in the near future anyway. But that might be because I don't animate very frequently. I feel like if I were, for instance, really if I were like really grinding on that Gmod 24/7, not really 24/7, but you get the idea. If I were really grinding on that Gmod for a very long time, I would probably burn out at some point. But I feel like since I barely animate. I animate, but I don't animate very frequently. It's like a once in a while thing. I don't think I will burn out as easily, and I'm always getting more ideas more quickly than I'm actually animating them. So I don't think I would get very tired very soon.
Yeah, and Raph, you also started saying something, so go on ahead.
I don't want to sound like an old man by saying that, but since I've been doing videos for 8 years already, I can pretty much say that I'm not really feeling tired of making videos, but I can say that I actually lost a little bit of, let's not say motivation, but
Steam.
I do not have the same passion, the same dynamism when doing my videos. Back in the day, I could like literally spend 8 hours straight doing Gmod every day, never stopping, never doing something else, even making completely skipping my nights doing Gmod. And nowadays, I'm just making 2-hour sessions and just doing, okay, I'm done for today, and just do the rest tomorrow. You see, I still have ideas. I still want to produce a Gmod content, but when I've been doing that for all these years, you just start to go a little bit slower every day.
Yeah,
So
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
it's kind of like. Go ahead,
depends
Abhi.
on people. Let's say, because sorry.
Okay, Abel, you were saying?
I think the burnout doesn't really happen until you get stuck on one project that you just can't finish. I know this out of experience. I've been stuck on. I was stuck on the Q&A for Q&A 2 for a long time. I'm currently stuck on Heavy Go Skateboarding. You feel that burnout from the frustration of not being able to progress. Like you've been staring at the same scene for ages. You don't get the burnout when you're at the point where you can pump out like a video every week, because you can constantly move on to new ideas and you get excited by these new ideas.
Yeah.
I know whenever I start a project, I'm excited by it. I'm excited by how this video is going to look. But like, if it's a long video, if it's a complicated video, because I like to make my things well animated and like well structured and whatnot, you get that burnout from staring at the same project for bloody years.
Yeah,
Or-
and the more
or
you
months or
improve,
so.
the more it takes.
Hmm?
The more you improve, and the more time it takes.
Yeah,
which is
precisely. And
sometimes
that's
a struggle.
the curse.
Uh-huh.
Like the better it gets, the longer it takes.
Yeah, and there's also the more random situations that may occur, like Gary's mod crashing. You just
Oh,
notice
no.
that there's a very minor detail that you didn't spot at first, but upon rewatch, you just notice how much it fucks up the entire scene,
Classic.
and you're just like, oh no, I've got to redo the whole thing again.
And then you never do.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you just can't, because you get that sort of weird thing in your head where you're like, I did that scene.
Yeah, I did that already. I don't want to do it again.
Fuck
Just
it.
give me a break.
Fuck it, I'll do it
You're
live.
tearing me apart, Gmod.
Yeah.
Eventually you need to get to that point where you literally are like, fuck it.
Dude, just screw it. I'm just gonna go with that. Whatever.
Yeah, you know
Yeah,
what? Nobody will
exactly.
notice, and they never do.
Yeah. Well then, I believe that we can end the Twitch question section on that, and probably judging from the recent GPod schedule, I can kinda.
Actually,
I could almost say that this is going to be the last podcast of this year, or at least like that's not very close to 2019. So how about we end on the question of how do you think 2018 went for the Gmod? Gmod community, animations, animators, and all that. Okay, Raf, you go first.
Well, I cannot really answer that question honestly because since a few years already, I've been losing a big interest over watching other Gmod projects. You see, back in the day, you were just seeing like 1 or 2 videos per weeks, and today, since everyone is doing Gmod, SFM, and everything, you just have constantly videos everywhere on every side posted by everyone. So at some point you cannot actually sort what's good and what's not, so you kind of lose interest about it. Like you're like, oh, I don't want to watch this video because I don't know if it's going to be the same thing as some other people. I don't know if I expressed myself really correctly, but there's just too much to see, not enough time, and you quickly lose interest over that.
Okay, Zach. Okay,
Well-
Zach is dead. So Grindor, you go first instead of Zach.
Well, now, okay. I think this year was pretty good. It was a bit lackluster compared to last year. Like most of the most of the video was in general I've seen. I think were for collab entries, but like mostly the TV collab and Scout is Delicious. But besides that, like I haven't seen too much actually pop up. But that's not to say that the videos that were made were actually pretty good. Like Team Fabulous 4 was it? Or, I mean, not Team Fabulous.
Neighborhood.
Team Neighborhood 4. My apologies. But it's like that was a huge silver lining of the year, and honestly, I'm willing to say that makes up for a lot of like lacklusterness, in my opinion.
So now it's for you, Zach.
Hi. Sorry, my internet was kind of poop for a bit.
Don't worry about
Yeah, but I feel like 2018, I don't have very much to say about it because I haven't been in the loop very much. But I can say that it's been a year of bigger projects, as far as I know. Some of my friends that I'm in contact with that also do Gary's Mod animations, some of them are in Yugoi right now, are working on bigger projects. And that's all I'll say about their projects because I can't spoil anything, can I? But
yeah, it better not.
But I feel like, but from my perspective, what I am seeing, 2018 is a year of working on future projects that will come out in perhaps 2019. And that's what I have to say about it. I hope 2019 will bring more projects that everyone will love.
And Evil?
Well, for this year, I will fully admit that I've been very outside of the loop of Gary's Mod due to real life events such as me graduating uni, me doing my job thing, me getting burnt out. But I'm excited for 2019. Well, a confusing thing that happened this year was that ScoutCon hit 2 million views, so that sort of made me realize, holy shit, people are still watching the dumb things that I put on the internet.
They still want you.
Don't say
They
it
still
like
want
that.
they still want
Oh yeah, I just realized how bad that sounds. Oh my
Oh,
god.
they want you.
They want. Yeah, okay,
that's
let
on
me
the
go on. They want you to make videos.
Yes, better.
Yeah.
And
They
I
want you to
do
make
want to make
ScoutCon
videos.
2 specifically.
I just want to try and find that spark again. I want to not be burnt out, essentially. And but watching things like I always have this weird switch in my brain where like I don't watch things like the new Doctor Face. I don't watch things like Team Neighbor because I fear I'll never be as good as those and I'll fall into. But I feel like I need to watch that to become excited again. And I think that's what's actually being on this has done for me. Like I've seen Team Fabulous and Spy Squid and been able to be a nerd about it. Shut up, Shadow On.
Oh god. You can never escape
And
from that.
I really want to complete Heavy Go skateboarding this next year. Yeah, I'm excited for the future. I don't know what else to say, but yeah,
Yeah.
What can I
I just
say?
need to tear myself away from Dungeons and Dragons for a while.
Yeah. What I'd like to add to the matter is that I'm also very excited, mostly because this year has been pretty big for, I think, most of us, if not all of us. Pretty much everyone who started out in 2017, they started out their adventure with Gmod or more serious Gmod, has been getting a bit more exposure. There's been the Raxo collab, which got a ton of attention to all of us. If you look at Vigor, who at the beginning of the year had 300, 400 subscribers, is now sitting at around 1,000. Something like that, something over that. I myself am reaching 1,000 subscribers. A lot of people are getting attention, as I said. We're getting a bit more recognition, and that really hypes me up for 2019.
I reached a solid 100.
Oh yeah, you'll get places.
I reached like in this year where I've done basically nothing. I hit my 25K mark somehow.
Nice.
Damn.
My channel has been growing ever so quietly, like a snail sort of, but it's still going.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
It's a sign.
Nani.
Nani.
Nani's a fuck.
Yeah.
My sub count is very fluctuating.
Oh yeah, and also another thing that got us a lot of attention was the Meet the Spy Reanimated, which was made mostly by those less known Gmodders,
I want more of that.
That was a lot of fun.
That was a lot of fun to work, and it was really nice to see that when we shared it around the various social media like Reddit and stuff, people actually got into that. People were really excited. People really liked it. The reception was really positive.
I want
And
to
it's got
meet
more,
the sniper next. I really want to meet the sniper.
I'm up for it. If anything else like that is in the works, please call me. I'm so lonely. Call me.
Imagine Meet the Medic.
Oh my god, yes.
Ooh.
Oh boy, that would be amazing. Okay, so
But I lost my medical license.
I believe that concludes today's G-Pod. My name is Erdemon. I was your host today with you. We're Ebel,
Yeah.
Grindor, Sack, and Rap.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey.
So until the next G-Pod, goodbye everyone.
Until next time,
See you guys.
cheerio, and
See ya,
have,
everyone.
Don't leave me.
have a happy whatever you celebrate.
Happy endeavors.
Exactly.
Merry
You know,
Christmas.
you know who you are.
You have yourself
That's
a
right.
pleasant day now, you hear?
Thanks.
You know-